that's enough of that. You know what time it is. Go get the lead out. Fridays. We're back. Last week there wasn't a Led Zeppelin video. I was traveling, but have no fear. Led Zeppelin's right here. So today there is a song that I definitely should talk about. I usually, I typically try to stay to the more, I don't say unknown Led Zeppelin songs, but I usually avoid, Stairway to Heaven, Black Dog, Whole Lotta Love. But a little like tidbit of information I saw caught my interest, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So we are going to actually talk about that's right, Whole Lotta Love. Now this is obviously one that is probably Stairway to Heaven, Whole Lotta Love, Black Dog. Those three are like the most, overplayed Zeppelin songs ever. But what really caught my interest was a few facts. And I thought, you know what? I want to learn a little bit more about the song. I don't know the backstory behind it, and just try to find some of those little tidbits of information that maybe I didn't know. And it made me appreciate the song a little bit in a different light. And we're also going to talk about how some of it is stolen. I know there's people like dying to comment, like, they stole that song. Yeah. We're going to talk about that too. So let's go. Alright, so first things first. Now what I want to talk about, maybe even what the title of this video is that the fact that I never knew that Led Zeppelin never had a #1 hit song. They have, in their entire career, they never had a hit song. They had the closest thing to it, which was Whole Lotta Love. Now that came in at number 4, and also, on their first album, I thought this was really interesting, that they didn't release any singles for their first album. It was just kind of like not the thing to do in the UK. The US, they also didn't. So it wasn't until, obviously, the second album, Whole Lotta Love, that was their first ever released single. Even though it was over like 5 minutes long, a long song to be on the radio, that was their first single they ever released, and obviously huge, massive success to it. And I thought that was really interesting. I never knew, think of how many millions of albums, if I can remember to look it up, which I probably will. Hey, future me, put up how many albums Led Zeppelin has sold. Not even once did they have a hit song, like a #1 song. So I thought that was pretty dang interesting. And Whole Lotta Love is this incredible song that is probably the first thing I ever heard from Led Zeppelin, and instantly had to learn it. So it's pretty cool. And I wanted to throw in something here. Let's talk about the way that Page actually plays this riff, because I know I was playing it wrong for a long, long time. I've seen numerous videos of people teaching it wrong, myself included in videos. I guess I had never really done my homework on it. And what I found was something interesting, and it actually makes sense the way Page plays it. So the main riff to Whole Lotta Love, and there's a little section that I see a lot of people also leave out, and I wanted to throw it in here. So it goes like this. Okay, now right there, there's quite a few differences that I see people do. A lot of times people go like this, and you're like, it's the same notes, what are you doing different? Well, they're doing 2 downs. If you watch Page, he goes down, up each time. So what happens is you end up hitting this open string that you need to play first, and it sounds different. Listen to it. There's a difference there. Like, it does sound different, and it makes it a little bit easier actually to get that open string in there, because if you don't know, another part that I see some people do miss, but it's not like, not a huge thing that people miss nowadays, but is anyways, when he does the riff, he's not just playing those 2 notes, he plays the open D string with it. And he bends that D note, because this is, those are both D notes, he bends it out of tune. But I see a lot of people do downs, which I did too for years. And let me get that from going to sleep. Okay? Now the next thing that I see happen is something I always thought, but I never really dove into it to find out. I always thought it sounded like Page was alternate picking those bass notes. It just sounded like it versus. But I remember I saw one video of Page, and he was doing downs. I was like, oh, he must be doing downs. And then I watched, to do this video, I watched 5 other videos, And he's like, oh no, he's almost always doing alternate picking. He just happened to do down that one time. So I do think he is alternate picking this. Now, so what he does is he goes down, up, and then chord. He's also playing with his pinky. I think he's barring getting that higher fifth in there, or higher root. So. So I'm almost positive that's the way he's doing it. At least that's how it was in like the 3 or 4 videos that I watched of him playing it. And there's even one from It Might Get Loud. If you watch his hand, he's going. You know, you can see him alternate picking, not doing all downs. I see it taught like this. Again, I've taught it that way myself. And after watching it, I'm like, man, he's totally alternate picking it. You know, that's just something I played wrong for years. So the other final thing I'll leave off here is at the end, he goes like this. Now, I've seen some people do it like this. It's the same notes. Watch him live. Jimmy goes up. He slides up. I think it's him and Robert Plant in 1990. There's like a live version. It's just Page and Plant, and he does it, and you can clearly see his hand moving up. So all he's doing is the main riff, but he doesn't do it again. He slides up, and he goes 12 on the A to 11. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. What I could not find, I remember a long time ago when there was a lot of Led Zeppelin controversy going on with Stairway to Heaven being stolen from Spirit. I remember a lot of these videos surfaced, and there was one that I couldn't find that was basically the riff to Whole Lotta Love. Now, like I said, don't quote me on this because maybe I'm remembering incorrectly. I couldn't find it to like cite my source. But it was basically the Whole Lotta Love riff, but it was played on piano. It was like a super old, song from like the 50s or whatever it was. And it was played on piano, and it was very similar. And I was like, oh, maybe that's where Page kind of got the idea for the main riff from. Maybe not. I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't find it. Now, obviously, the lyrics have now, Led Zeppelin has given credit. They were sued, so they had to. But they originally did not give credit. The lyrics are, pretty much taken, they're very, very close. There's a little bit of difference, but basically it's from Muddy Waters, You Need Love. And what I thought was interesting is a lot of people accused Zeppelin of stealing the song from another band, which came out a few years before Zeppelin, called You Need Lovin', from, I think they were called Small Faces. Another amazing singer, actually. I almost wonder if Robert Plant heard their version of it and kind of stole his phrasing a little bit. But what I thought was interesting is that, no, they basically stole the song from Muddy Waters, didn't give credit. I think the lyrics are from Willie Dixon. They stole the song from them, and then Led Zeppelin did as well. Before it was Muddy Waters. It's the whole thing. So there you go. It is, in fact, stolen. Now, this I found really, really interesting was Jimmy Page was quoted, I think it was in a Guitar World interview, can't remember exactly, but he was quoted saying that his main focus on the song was actually the drums. He wanted the drums to just have this massive sound, and he wanted to build the rest of the song around the drums. So they spent a lot of time. They recorded it in Olympic, studios that had these huge 28-foot tall ceilings, it said. And that was like, Page was like really adamant about the fact that these drums needed to be done. Page actually produced it, and then he waited to mix it until he went back to New York, to where Eddie Kramer had relocated, and he did the song with Eddie there. And while we're talking about Eddie Kramer and Jimmy Page, obviously this is something I mentioned in the Zeppelin mistakes, but I didn't realize the significance of what they had done. So obviously there's the part at the end where you hear Robert Plant's voice echoing. Kind of like, actually it was more like a foreshadow than an echo, and that was because some of another vocal take bled over into the master track, or whatever the correct terminology is. I'm not an engineer, I don't know this stuff, but it was basically they couldn't get rid of it, so they just ran with it and made it seem like it was something they intended to do. But what it basically was is it was either the first or one of the first cases of a reverse echo. So typically you'd have the main vocal, you know, in there, and then you'd hear an echo after it. Well, this time you actually, if you listen to it, you hear the reverse echo before the main vocal comes in, like the more powerful one. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, I didn't realize the significance of that mistake led to essentially reverse echoes. Now, I thought this was really cool because essentially, you know, the record labels and stuff came to Zeppelin and Page and it's like, you know, we want to do a radio edit of this song. And Page is like, no. And he's like, no, this is the way the song is. It's, you know, it's 5 minutes and like 30 seconds long. And so they finally like talked him into like hearing it, and they sent him a radio edit, and then like it was like 3 minutes long. And he listened to it, and he said he listened to it once, and he never listened to it again. He's like, no, it's like, that's not what the song is, you know, that's not the representation of it. Like, he doesn't care if the song's played on the radio. He didn't care if it was a radio-friendly 3-minute song. Like, he's like, this is how long the song is. We write, you know, the songs, or, you know, we compose the songs to be what they are. Not for radio. Now, another little tidbit that I throw in here, a lot of people do know this, of course, but there's that big breakdown, freakout section, and I thought it was just interesting because you hear all these crazy sounds happening, and there's a couple of interesting ones going on there. Obviously, there is the theremin. If you don't know what that is, look them up. They're really, really cool. Jimmy's playing a theremin on there. And then the other one is you hear this like rumbling sound in the background. That's actually Jimmy and his guitar. He detuned his guitar. They were asking like, oh, what did you detune to? And he's just like, I just detuned it and I was yanking on the strings to make all these different sounds. And I thought that was pretty interesting that he's like, I don't know, I just turned it down. I just wanted it to sound, you know, intense and aggressive, and that's how we got that sound. Now, of course, the solo is incredibly iconic, probably one of the most famous solos, if not the most famous solo. Now, just a little heads up, I do not know how to play this solo note for note, nor am I going to try to. I'm just going to get the vibe of it. You know, Page is Page. I'll let him be him, and I'll just try to do my best representation of it. But I'm going to play it for you here on the Les Paul and the Tele, because, you know, like I said, I don't know. Did he use the Tele? Did he use Les Paul? Who knows? I'm going to do it on both, so you can decide. Alright, homies, that is it. I hope you got the let out today. Like I said, a whole lot of love. I initially intended to kind of leave out these main big songs, but you know what? It was fun. I learned a lot about the song itself, and it's still one of my favorite Zeppelin tunes, and you know, what a riff to play. So, other than that, I'm bouncing out of here. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Maybe Saturday with a live stream, so I'll see you all later. Bye, guys. Woo!